Your life, your world, your news. This is 69 News, live at 5.
You may have heard the president was in town today. He dished on jobs, he dined on a cheeseburger, and departed for home about an hour ago.
Yes, we brought you wall-to-wall coverage earlier today on air and online, and now that coverage continues. First, the main event.
WFMZ Jaccii Farris joins us in the studio, and Jaccii, you were at Lehigh Carbon Community College today to hear the president speak to the people.
Well, Tri-C was the first stop in the president's White House to Main Street listening tour. And while he picked up some ideas on how to heal the economy, he was eager to spread some hope about the recovery.
Good to be back in Allentown, Lehigh Valley.
President Obama began his speech at Lehigh Carbon Community College with what he called modest news, the best jobs report since 2007.
The nation lost 11,000 jobs in November, which was about 115,000 fewer than was forecast.
The president told an audience of 800 plus the nation still has a long way to go, and one job lost is one too many. Mr. Obama highlighted several ways he hopes to get America back to work, ideas now forming in his jobs plan due out Tuesday, and input gathered during the jobs summit yesterday.
We talked about investments in clean energy to not only create jobs, but to make America a global leader in renewable energy technology. We talked about incentives for homeowners, for the materials and labor they need to make their homes more energy efficient, and a smart electricity grid that saves you money and moves our economy forward.
Mr. Obama also spoke of making credit available to more small businesses and improving infrastructure to help move goods and create jobs. President Obama says the road will be long, but he says today's job numbers are a sign recovery is on its way.
But I promise you this, I won't rest until things get better. I know you may not agree with every decision I make, but I promise I will always tell you the truth about why I'm making these decisions.
The jobless rate fell nationally in November. Here in the Valley, numbers for October, however, rose. And I know a lot of people are hoping that after the jobs plan comes out on Tuesday, that we'll have a trickle-down effect here in the Valley.
Hopes are high just about
That's
that,
true.
of course. Thanks, Jaccii, for that. Not everything went according to plan at the president's forum.
Yes, at the end of the speech, he took 4 questions, and the first one we can say was, well, creative.
I was wondering if maybe if you checked out some of the statistics about legalizing prostitution, gambling, drugs, and nonviolent crime in order to stimulate some of the economy.
You know, I have to say...
Well, Mr. Obama told the student he appreciated his boldness, but he said those weren't the types of jobs that he'd be working to create. Instead, he quickly switched to talk about his plans to stimulate the economy with green jobs and new industry. Well, the entire Lehigh Valley has been buzzing about the president's visit.
Tri-C was a very busy place earlier today. People were waiting in line for hours before Mr. Obama was scheduled to speak. And of course, the campus was a magnet for the media as well. Dozens of live trucks, reporters, and cameras were in position to cover the event today.
So did the president's visit live up to all the hype?
WFMZ's Dwayne Parker is live at Tri-C now with reaction. Dwayne?
Good evening, Rob and Wendy. Now, while the president was warmly received, it wasn't all standing ovation. Some said they would have liked more specifics, while for others, just getting here was part of the story. All it took was an email for Triana Vicente to get tickets to see President Barack Obama. Less than 24 hours ago, she received a call telling her to pick up her tickets at Lehigh Carbon Community College.
I said, this is a joke from a broadcasting station, because I was telling everybody, I want a ticket.
Triana also won an invitation to the White House Christmas party.
I spent the night jumping at my apartment.
Some Tri-C students also just found out they were part of the 200 students selected to attend today's speech.
I'm looking for more, for the students that are going to graduate maybe in May or in the future. This speech is going to be a little bit, hope for them.
While many like Triana were excited to be there and applauded the president's message, others found it lacking.
There's never been a concrete detail from the start except that we're going to bail out companies, bail out the businesses, make credit looser. It just seems like the credit's becoming tighter.
He seemed to focus on a positive number being how many jobs we didn't lose. And I'd like to see the president look at how many jobs do we have and how do we build back up to those robust times.
Now, the president did say that the November jobs report is the best since the start of the recession, with a loss of 11,000 jobs. Reporting live in Schnecksville, I'm Dwayne Parker, 69 News.
All right, thanks, Dwayne.
Those who couldn't get tickets to the president's speech gathered outside.
Supporters and protesters alike watched the president's motorcade pass by. WFMZ's Joscelyn Moes joins us live in the newsroom with more on that part of the story. Joscelyn.
Wendy, hundreds of people gathered outside the hall where the president was speaking, both protesters and supporters. They were there for the same reason, to have their voices heard. Signs in hand, they scoped out their spots, many arriving hours before the president was scheduled to speak.
The only way that we have is to do something like this to tell the story.
Protesters, most from Tea Party groups across the state, positioned themselves near the motorcade route.
We're damn concerned about where this country is being led.
Many concerns centered around health care.
I don't know why they just don't fix what is broken, rather than dismantle the things that are actually working.
And while hundreds showed up to protest the presidential visit, an equal number wanted to show their support.
He is working for all of us together.
They, too, spoke out about health care.
I just think overall it's a human issue to have health care for everybody. I've had relatives that have died who didn't have health care.
Overall, supporters are pleased with the president's performance, saying he inherited problems.
He was handed a meltdown on Wall Street. He was handed 2 wars.
When the president arrived, there were as many boos as cheers. And whether they support him or not, both sides say they got their point across. We'll have much more reaction from protesters and supporters coming up tonight at 6. We're live in the newsroom. Joscelyn Moes, 69 News.
Thanks, Jocelyn. Mr. Obama had a very full schedule indeed today. He made 5 stops in our area.
That's right. WFMZ's Bo Koltnow is at Lehigh Valley International Airport with more on the president's Lehigh Valley tour. Bo.
Hey, Robin, Wendy. Well, Air Force One and the president left the Lehigh Valley just before 4 o'clock this afternoon, but when he arrived around 10:15, as you just saw, he was met by a host of protesters who also picketed the Lehigh Carbon Community College and several other stops along Obama's tour, but his supporters had their voices heard as well, all very appropriate for what the White House calls a listening tour. Mr. Obama's Main Street tour began at Allentown Metal Works on South 10th Street. During the 15-minute tour of Mack Truck's original factory, current CEO Jim Gallagher wanted to know what Obama's doing to alleviate a credit crunch that he says is still crippling his small manufacturing business.
And the president asked that question. He said, are the banks willing to lend? And we had to say, no, they're not.
Mr. Obama did tell Gallagher he is meeting with banks next week. After a speech at El Tri-C, the president's Main Street tour continued at the Hamilton Street restaurant, where he dined on cheeseburger and fries, serving up a major thrill to the staff.
Something to share with my grandson. I can't wait till he gets older to understand.
Between several bites, several local business owners wanted Obama to understand their needs in a rough economy. Ralph Schlake of Applied Separations told Mr. Obama labor credits, given a company looking to hire, would be a big boost. How would that help a small business?
Well, that would wind up giving me cash in my pocket immediately so that I could, in fact, hire that person.
Was the president receptive to that? I mean,
he thought that was a good idea.
Esther Erdesy of the Egypt Star Bakery says she's just one of many small businesses seeing declining revenues and increased costs.
I stressed to him about the fact that it's very difficult for small businesses to acquire any kind of capital for working.
At Career Link of the Lehigh Valley, the president spoke to about 50 job seekers about the economy and the use of the lab.
For him, just coming alone says a lot, that he really cares and that he's trying his best.
And Mr. Obama finished the tour by wishing 180 shift workers at the Nestle Purina Pet Care plant a happy holidays. Live here at Lehigh Valley International Airport, Bo Koltnow, 69 News.
All right, Bo, thanks. You'll find much more of the president's visit at our website, WFMZ.com, including a photo gallery of the day's events. We've also been blogging and web chatting live all day long. If you missed it earlier today or you just want to see some of this again, you can go to our website. You can see the entire speech the president gave at L-Tri-C. It's all at WFMZ.com.
Well, we've been bringing you coverage of the president's visit, of course, all day long. We've got even more for you. Tune in 69 News at 5:30, then again at 6 for more live reports on Obama's visit.
The president's visit caused some headaches on the roads.
Yes, the motorcade tied up traffic on Lehigh Street, as you can see, in Allentown this morning. Passed through the area to get to and from the Allentown Metal Works, which was the first stop of the president's visit. Well, now for current traffic conditions, we're going to head upstairs to Rick Edwards in the traffic center.
All right, thank you, guys. Yeah, 22 is running a lot better now. This afternoon, we were all jammed up as they stopped.
President Obama in our backyard today to get a first-hand look at how the economy is affecting everyday Americans. Spent the day talking to business owners and job seekers in the Lehigh Valley during the first stop of his White House to Main Street tour. Good evening, I'm Wendy Davis.
And I'm Rob Vaughn. The region's still buzzing because of the president's visit today. He came to the Lehigh Valley on the heels of yesterday's Jobs Summit.
And he brought some good news from the Labor Department. WFMZ Stephanie Esposito is joining us from the newsroom with our top story tonight. Stephanie.
Well, Rob and Wendy, President Obama is on this Main Street America tour so that he can talk about job growth. Now, that issue is tied to a lot of other issues, from education to health care to banks loosening up on some of that money that the taxpayers gave them.
Today, our concern is, are the banks going to be there with us? Right. And we don't feel they are.
Part of what our message to the banks is, the taxpayers were there for you to clean up your mistakes. You now have a responsibility to be there for the community now that we're bearing the brunt of a lot of these problems that you caused.
President Obama responded strongly to a Lehigh Valley manufacturing CEO who's concerned with a frozen credit market affecting small business owners.
Here's the problem. Having been way too easy in terms of giving credit, now banks have swung in the opposite direction.
It was one of many issues stemming from the topic at hand, jobs.
Too many members of our American family have felt the gut punch of a pink slip. 8 million Americans have lost their jobs.
The president talked about helping companies save money and keep jobs through health care reform, create new infrastructure jobs, and in the long term, getting people educated to make our nation more competitive in the global marketplace against places like South Korea.
These folks are serious. They're not, their kids aren't spending a whole bunch of time playing video games or watching TV.
President Obama shared the latest unemployment rates from the Labor Department today. He says the nation lost 11,000 jobs in November. That's about 115,000 fewer than forecasted. And that, President Obama says, is one of the best jobs reports since 2007. Reporting live in the newsroom, Stephanie Esposito, 69 News.
All right, thanks, Stephanie. Well, the president's visit also drew protesters from Berks to the Lehigh Valley. Folks from Bartow, Kutztown, and members of the Berks County Tea Party are among those who lined the route of Mr. Obama's motorcade. They said that they are upset about a number of the president's policies, from health care reform to his plan for the economy.
I think it is absolutely essential that people in the conservative camp come up and do what these people have been doing for so long. We're not real good at this, but we're damn concerned about where this country is being led.
Some of the president's supporters made signs and stood opposite the protesters. And we're going to have much more on the president's Main Street tour at 6. You'll also see his entire speech, a photo gallery, and more. If you go online, it's all at WFMZ.com.
In other news at 5:30, a Wyoming woman will serve time for a hit and run in West Reading.
Just hours ago.
This is 69 News, live at 6.
It's good to be back in Pennsylvania. Good to be back in Allentown.
It's the visit the Lehigh Valley's been waiting for. Today, President Obama kicked off his Main Street tour. 69 News was there every step of the way. Tonight, we're bringing you live team coverage from LVIA to L-Tri-C. Good evening once again. I'm Rob Vaughn.
And I'm Wendy Davis. The president's plane touched down at LVIA just after 10 this morning.
Mr. Obama made several stops around the Lehigh Valley where he went. WFMZ's Bo Koltnow followed. And Bo joins us live from the airport now with more on the president's Main Street tour. Bo?
Rob and Wendy, the president's prance through town ended just before 4 o'clock when Air Force One lifted off from LVIA. And again, his plane landed around 10:15 this morning. And in between, he made 5 stops along the way. And what he heard were suggestions and concerns from the area workforce and business owners. President Obama's mission to listen began at the Allentown Metal Works on South 10th, where he got a peek in the plant. CEO Jim Gallagher, whose 18-month-old company is helping to rebuild the World Trade Center, says his business is being hit hard by the credit crunch.
He said, are the banks willing to lend? And we had to say, no, they're not.
A theme shared inside the Hamilton family restaurant, where Obama took suggestions from several local business owners.
I stressed to him about the fact that it's very difficult for small businesses to acquire any kind of capital for working.
He was here essentially trying to get ideas from the general Main Street America, trying to find out what might work to get jobs rolling in the country.
Business owner Rolf Schlake suggested to the president that labor credits, money given to companies to hire more employees, would be beneficial.
Giving me cash in my pocket immediately.
The president did have time to squeeze in a meal. A medium-done cheeseburger and fries. Did you think because he's so slim, he might order something seemingly a little more healthy?
Yeah. Yeah, but they said he likes his burgers.
Mr. Obama stressed to job seekers at Career Link of the Lehigh Valley that creating jobs is a main priority.
He did specify that he's trying to find out what's causing the unemployment, and he's going to try to do his best.
I mean, he's like right up there. He's a top guy, and if he understands what we're going through, that means a lot to me because, you know, a lot of the other presidents, you know, didn't interact with groups like us.
And the President's Day ended at the Nestle Premium Pet Care Plant in South Whitehall Township, where he wished 180 shift workers a happy holiday. Live here at Lehigh Valley International Airport, Bo Koltnow, 69 News.
All right, thanks so much, Bo. Of course, when the president comes to town, people are going to have to wait. And this is a look at traffic traveling at a snail's pace here in the southwest section of Allentown today. Drivers all around the area had to deal with detours while the president made his way around the Lehigh Valley.
Yep. Test your patience a little bit.
Oh, yes.
But just a few hours. As you know, the president's big thing today, the big draw, was the speech at Lehigh Carbon Community College.
That's right. It came on the heels of new unemployment news, and WFMZ's Jaccii Farris is joining us live in the studio. The very latest on all that, Jaccii.
Well, President Obama began his speech at Lehigh Carbon Community College with what he called modest news. The best jobs report since 2007, and the nation's unemployment rate down to 10%.
We need to do everything we can right now to get our businesses hiring again so that our friends and our neighbors can go back to work.
President Obama told the 800-plus people at Lehigh Carbon Community College the nation has a long road to economic recovery ahead, but he says the journey has begun. Mr. Obama highlighted several ways he hopes to get America back to work, ideas now forming in his jobs plan due out Tuesday, and input gathered during the Jobs Summit yesterday.
We talked about investments in clean energy to not only create jobs, but to make America a global leader in renewable energy technology. We talked about incentives for homeowners, for the materials and labor they need to make their homes more energy efficient, and a smart electricity grid that saves you money and moves our economy forward.
Mr. Obama also spoke of making credit available to more small businesses and improving infrastructure to help move goods and create jobs. President Obama says the nation's journey will be filled with setbacks and struggles, but he says today's jobs numbers are a sign recovery is on its way.
And I know that we can come together to forge a brighter future so that places like Allentown and Bethlehem and the Lehigh Valley don't just survive, but they thrive. That's why we're here. That's what we're fighting for. And as long as I've got the privilege of being your president, I will always be there, right there with you, in the thick of that fight.
President Obama says he chose LTIC because he says community colleges are an underappreciated asset and a big part of our nation's recovery, a place where many of the nation's displaced workers are being retrained to re-enter the workforce.
All right, thanks for your reporting today, Jackie. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Jackie. So what did people think of the president's message?
Well, WFMZ's Dwayne Parker is live at LTIC right now with reaction. Dwayne?
Good evening, Robin, Wendy. Now, the president spoke about creating more green jobs, spending more money on roads. He even spoke about his plans to work with Governor Rendell in creating an infrastructure bank. Some said great, others said show me the specifics. President Barack Obama kicked off his listening tour at LTIC, and that's just what he did, listen and then answer.
In his, 15 or 20 minutes of remarks, and then in the Q&A, he kind of let the audience set a little more of the agenda rather than just give a one-way speech, which I thought was very impressive.
He didn't shy away from one question. It was nice to see a president who actually had a sense of humor. And to be able to talk about how it was for him and his family just 6-7 years ago, paying off student loans and things. I think he represents the people extremely well.
I'm just glad to hear that things are getting much better because, that's a big improvement over everything totally collapsing and falling apart.
While many appreciated the president's candor, others wanted specifics.
I'd like to hear more about how he, really wants to create these jobs. We're hearing a lot of talk about creating jobs.
Then there were those who wanted to make sure the president follows through on what he proposes.
I want to feel the words, I want to feel the power he has as explaining to us that the change he's going to make in his term as president is going to come true.
Now, the president says he plans to send a special report to Congress next Tuesday on ways to stimulate jobs in the private sector. Reporting live in North Whitehall Township, Lehigh County, I'm Dwayne Parker, 69 News.
Thank you, Dwayne. A local veteran made quite an impression with his plea to the president. Leonard Martin was one of the few chosen by the president himself to ask a question at LTIC today. Martin served 3 years in the Army, and he told the president he's eligible for the post-9/11 GI Bill, but he hasn't been able to get through to anyone.
And when I call them, they're often busy, and we get a message saying that we have to call back later on. Right. Sir, could you call them up and ask them and get more people to work with them?
Well, President Obama joked that Martin went straight to the top and that he should be expecting a call in about 2 seconds. But in all seriousness, he says that one of his commitments as president is to whip the Veterans Administration into shape.
Hundreds of people who couldn't get tickets to the speech at LTIC had to settle for front row seats as the president's motorcade passed by. WFMZ's Joscelyn Moes is live in the newsroom with more on that. Joscelyn?
Rob, it appeared to be an equal number of supporters and protesters gathered outside the hall where the president spoke, each side hoping to get their message across. Armed with their signs, protesters gathered ready to hand Obama his pink slip.
I am so frustrated.
And so they picked a point along the motorcade route to voice their concerns.
He wants to listen to our concerns and take the temperature of the Americans in this rough time. And we represent Main Street America.
Protesters say the president's health care plan is enough to make them sick.
We can't afford it right now. And I'd assume my health care be with my doctor and not with the government.
And while hundreds spoke out against Obama,
what do we want? Health care! When do we want it? Now!
An equal number showed their support.
The majority of the people of this country voted for him, and I was one of them, and I'm very proud that he's our president.
Proud, they say, of what he's done and what he's trying to do.
I am one of the many unemployed. I have a master's degree, and I'm out of work, but he's doing a fantastic job in bringing us all together.
Although they didn't get tickets to his speech, supporters found a way to see and take pictures with the president.
He speaks for all people, all nationalities.
And when the president passed by, supporters and protesters alike say they accomplished what they set out to do. Most of the protesters we talked with were from Tea Party groups across the state. Most of the supporters were from a group called Organizing for America. Reporting live from the newsroom, Joscelyn Moes, 69.